All right, welcome. Today, we are jumping into a kind of conflict that, we've all seen. It feels completely impossible to solve. It's that clash you see in apartment hallways, the arguments over loud music, the tension within families. But what if I told you that the person you see as just being difficult is actually a survivor from a different time, playing by a completely different set of rules? So let's start with a mystery. Most of us live by a certain social contract, right? Community rules, basic courtesy, that kind of thing. So why is it that some people seem to be operating from a totally different rule book, where none of that stuff seems to matter at all? You've definitely seen this. The hallway, which is supposed to be a shared space, slowly but surely becomes someone's personal storage unit. You've got potted plants, old furniture, stacks of boxes, and it's not just clutter, is it? It feels like a claim of territory. Or maybe you've heard it right through the walls. You make a polite request. Hey, could you turn the volume down? It's after 10 p.m. And instead of an apology, you get indignation, like your request is the actual problem here. And then you experience it firsthand. A totally standard by-the-book fee for a service, like, say, cleaning up that hallway stash, is treated not as a simple transaction, but as a deep personal attack, an act of punishment. So, what is the common thread tying all of this together? Well, the source material we're looking at suggests this isn't just about someone being unreasonable. To really solve this mystery, we need to meet a very specific archetype it calls the survival mode survivor, someone who is operating by a completely different logic. And here it is, the core insight. We're not dealing with a personality flaw. This is a deeply ingrained psychological program. The best way to think about it is like an operating system, an OS that was built for a world of scarcity and trauma, but it's now trying to run in our modern, more stable world. This quote from our source material just captures it perfectly. Their fight or flight response, it's permanently switched on. Every single interaction, no matter how small, is seen through the lens of a potential threat, a battle that has to be won or lost. And this slide just brilliantly illustrates that fundamental disconnect. On the left, you've got community logic. That's the software most of us are running. On the right, survival logic. You see, they're not even playing the same game. They learned the rules on a completely different field, one where grabbing ownerless space was smart and where paper rules didn't matter, only hard power did. Okay, so if this is their operating system, where on earth did it come from? In this next section, we're going to dig into those battlefield echoes, tracing these behaviors all the way back to their roots in trauma and history. The sources actually trace this mindset back to specific, incredibly difficult historical periods. Just imagine living through a time of extreme scarcity, where a hoard or die instinct becomes your second nature. Then you live through a communal era, where the whole idea of private property just gets erased. And finally, a cultural revolution that completely shatters any trust in contracts or authority, teaching you one brutal lesson: only force matters. What you can hold is yours, and whoever shouts the loudest wins. This table is basically the key that unlocks the whole mystery. That hoarding we see, it's not just messiness. It's a deep-seated need for safety, fighting off a phantom famine. The aggression isn't just a bad temper. It was a learned survival skill. And that deep distrust of rules, it comes from a lifetime of seeing them broken by the people in power. So here's the really crucial takeaway. If their operating system is fundamentally different, arguing with them using our logic is like trying to run Windows 11 on a computer from 1985. It's just not going to work. It's not compatible. We need a new user manual. And the very first rule in that brand new manual is this profound insight. When you truly understand that their fight is with the ghosts of their past, not with you, you can finally depersonalize the conflict. And that right there is the essential first step to de-escalation. Based on that one insight, the source material lays out this brilliant three-step protocol. First, you detach emotionally. Second, you shift the authority, the blame, away from yourself. And third, and this is just genius, you leverage their own mindset by offering them a way to feel like they've actually come out ahead. Let's look at a real-world example of this. Here's what not to do. Saying something like, "I have to charge you a cleaning fee," makes it a personal fight immediately. The word "I" pits you directly against them, and the word "charge" triggers that deep-seated trauma of being punished. This approach, it absolutely guarantees a battle. Now check out the right way. The financial system. That's the bad guy. It's an impersonal, unmovable force. Suddenly, you're not the enemy anymore. You're just the messenger, relaying the demands of some abstract system they can't possibly argue with. And this is a perfect illustration of step 3. You offer a choice, but it's a very structured one. The option to do it themselves for free transforms the entire interaction. See, it's no longer about them losing their stuff or their space. It's now about them gaining an advantage by saving money. Their fear of loss is so powerful that the desire to win by avoiding a fee often completely overrides their instinct to fight. So in our final section, let's look at how this all comes together. Because the goal here isn't just to win an argument with some clever communication trick. It's about a fundamental shift in perspective, from trying to fix a problem to truly understanding a person. We started this whole thing with the mystery of the difficult person. But by unpacking their history, their programming, we arrive at a completely different place. We are not dealing with a difficult person. We're dealing with a survivor whose skills are just tragically mismatched with the world they live in now. And that really is the ultimate takeaway. It only takes one mental shift. The moment you stop seeing a stubborn neighbor and you start seeing a historical survivor, everything changes. Your frustration starts to dissolve, your strategy becomes clear, and a real resolution actually becomes possible. But the sources suggest there might be an even deeper lesson here for us. Why do these interactions get under our skin so much? Maybe it's because these survivors, they act as a kind of mirror. They show us the primitive, survival-at-all-costs instincts that lie dormant inside all of us, reminding us just how fragile our own sense of order really is. And that leaves us with one final provocative question to think about. These individuals are living with the loud echoes of their past battlefields. By learning to understand their echoes, maybe we can learn to listen more closely to the quieter ones from our own history and start to ask ourselves, what outdated survival modes are still running in our lives today?